Hi guys, welcome to the next video in Project Lincoln Diesel. In this video we're going to take a look at running the engine and moving the car, driving the car, taking it for a little spin, and then just giving you a quick last look around it as it is now, and showing you how it's changed from being a petrol engine to now a diesel engine. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like and do all that good stuff.
On with the prop shaft then, and you can see here this is the back of the BMW gearbox, and what I've decided to do is use the existing, or as much of the existing BMW prop shaft as we can. So here at the back of the gearbox you can see there's this triangular flange, and then that houses a rubber donut, and then there's a second triangular flange on the prop shaft that bolts to the donut. So you've got like a cushion effect, and it just takes up any transmission slack and stuff like that, and just makes the drivability nicer in the car. So we're going to retain that, use this section of the BMW prop shaft at the front, and the BMW prop shaft's also quite long, but it has a centre bearing midway down. The reason it has this is because it's a long prop shaft, and rather than having one huge long prop shaft, you can have a two-piece one that gives you better angles and everything. Actually lands in a really good place on the chassis. There's some mounting points that aren't being used for anything. It means that we can make up some sort of bracket or plate work to go there and carry the bearing. And then at the other end, you can see the BMW has this sort of CV joint on the diff end, whereas the Lincoln has a conventional yoke joint. So there you go, you can see we've made up a carrier for the bearing to mount that on, and all we did was put some riv nuts in, some heavy duty riv nuts into the chassis, and then made up this plate work from 6mm plate, shaped it around the exhaust so that it didn't interfere there, and then also kept everything clear of those park brake cables which run to the rear axle. So the second half of the prop shaft, like I say, it's got this CV joint, and we need to get it to the diff end, which has a yoke joint. There's about 14 to 18 inches, something like that, between the two. So we've got to figure out something to go between the two. So back to this prop shaft, Lincoln prop shaft on the top, and then this is the BMW prop shaft with this CV. So I'm thinking we'll cut it off there, and then use this end, the yoke end of the Lincoln prop shaft, and basically join the two together. So we'll probably cut it there, bolt that end up where it lives, the other side of the bearing, and then we just need to marry those two together to get that prop shaft in. Missing the donut just there, but with the bearing and everything it's nice and straight, and we've got some good angles. I've cut both sections to roughly where I think they need to be, and bolting them back up. Measured the ODs, and then I've had this piece made, which came from a company I think that does exhausts. So they've made one side that goes on the Lincoln side and one side that goes on the BMW side. So at the minute I just want to mock this up, and then we're going to send this section of the prop shaft to Gwyn Lewis, who can make it properly, but it'll give us the opportunity to mock it up, make sure that everything clears and that we've got the correct length, and we can literally take that, then give that to Gwyn Lewis, say make us one of those, and he'll come back with an awesome prop. So in a flash, that's pretty much what happened, and now we have this awesome prop shaft which bolts to the Lincoln end perfectly. It's thick wall, heavy duty, so it'll take all the power and the abuse and the weight of the car, and then also on the other end it bolts straight to the existing BMW prop shaft, and it's got a sliding joint. The sliding joint is there for when the axle moves up and down. Obviously the length of the prop shaft changes ever so slightly, so you need a sliding joint in there. On the standard BMW one, it had a CV end, and the CV, like an axle CV does, floats, so it doesn't need a sliding joint, but on this we do. On the original Lincoln one, it has a slip yoke on the back of the gearbox where the prop shaft slips in and out of the gearbox, so we've kind of got a mix of both. And the prop shaft UJs and the slider are all fully greasable, all sealed. It's nice and compact. It's not as big a bore as the original Lincoln one, so it looks great. Now on to the next job, which is just a little bit of suspension work. We're going to swap out the shocks all round. These are the front ones, and we've just swapped them out because they were completely knackered and it was just not worth keeping them. Inside the engine bay then, we're just starting to tidy up some of the wiring. Obviously we've got the ECU mounted, as you know, and then just tidying up some of this wiring while we can, just to make it a bit easier to work on. We've got the water bottle mounted there on the right hand side for the expansion tank for the radiator, which is all mounted in, as you know. Pipework's come along quite well and everything's looking a bit neater. We've got to do something for the clean air, cold air inlet, and there's the exhaust all in. You can see better from the top, and you can see how much room there is behind the engine, so start a motor and all that sort of stuff will be easy to work on. So that's the standard BMW throttle pedal mounted in the car, and then we've got the shifter here as well, all hooked up. We've got drive with our mock prop shaft. Once we get that swapped out, then we can go and take it for a run.
Your brakes work.
So a quick spin in the yard then, now it's time to take it out on the open road.
Super smooth. Like even just cruising like this is pretty smooth. The ride could be a little bit less wallowy, but mad. Listen to that. Turbo noises. So in terms of getting it working now, we're pretty much done. She's in the car, everything works, it's all wired up, it's all plumbed up and everything like that, which is really cool. And it drives, as you know. And yeah, it's all gone in relatively straightforward. Obviously with a car like this and a conversion like this, it's only 2-wheel drive. That takes a lot of the stuff, a lot of the extra stuff out of it compared to if you did a Land Rover or another 4-wheel drive car where you've got the whole transfer box and extra prop shaft and everything to deal with. But conversion wise, it's been quite straightforward, and happy with how it's come out actually now, and it does drive really well. It's a lot of torque for this car, and definitely too big of a car for these little Welsh lanes, but yeah, it's a really cool thing. So there you go, from a big, huge, inefficient V8 engine that didn't produce that much power given its size, to a German refined diesel engine that will still get probably 30 miles to the gallon, but it's got 400 horsepower, 6-speed gearbox, super refined in comparison. Yeah, so it's a bit of a change really. There you go guys, again it's changed massively, so from this big V8 engine now to a nice European German refined diesel engine with 6 speeds. Really nice to drive, really different to drive than it was before. It was sort of really sluggish and loud, and now it's a bit spicy, and yeah, it's just got cool turbo noises, which is always nice. So thanks for watching. Check out our next video, like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff.